How are you?
Yes, this is going to be a podcast from the prone position, as I did, in fact, get a cortisone shot in my hip today.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was unpleasant, but at least I'm not afraid of needles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a little prick. You can't,
Yeah, it wasn't. I had one recently in my knee, and it wasn't bad, but I'll tell you what, it sure did help my problem. So
Yeah.
that was really great. Yeah, I don't think we've ever done a podcast with you flat on your back.
Yeah, this is what we're going to do.
I think this is a first.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works for you, it works for me.
Yeah, it's a comfy sofa.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice.
Yep.
And what I love about these studio furniture here is that it's the kind of stuff that just gets softer with age.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all, yeah.
This used to be in my parents' den eons ago. The chair you're sitting in is the one that I sat in that said, "This is what you're buying."
It's awesome.
I loved that chair so much.
It's really, really nice. I used to have one sort of like it, but it was a recliner. And but so we're in the leather furniture, ready to talk about some sex. We talked about airplane sexual assaults last show or the show before, I can't remember. And the number that were reported, you and I both, I think, said that can't be as many as there really are. There's got to be more, but people are finally starting to speak up, right? Airplanes are just a petri dish for all sorts of really bad things to happen. And even if you're not afraid of flying itself, I totally hate the whole airplane thing.
There is absolutely nothing pleasant about it anymore.
No.
They have, it used to be a thing that people dressed up for, which I do think is also stupid.
I do too.
I don't think, and there's no right to, fly, it's a privilege, all these sort of things. But I don't understand to some extent why some of the airlines are not sort of held accountable for the atmosphere that they create.
Yeah, why
the rage.
Why do they leave people on runways for hours when the bathrooms are overflowing with no food? Why do they do that? Why don't they just let them go back into the airport, for God's sake?
Yeah, because you're going into a secure area. It's there should be a gate where you just bring up, unload people, and then the plane goes and stays in line, or I don't know. You cannot tell me that they cannot figure this out.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, our first story is about a plane.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I had the feeling that's probably where we were.
Yeah, I was setting it up.
We were circling, hovering. We were going to get in there.
We needed to opine, and I feel better. Do you?
Yes.
Okay, good. A Florida woman thought that faking a medical issue would get her a bigger seat on an American Airlines flight from Pensacola to Miami, but they ended up...
How long can that be? 45 fucking minutes?
I know. Really?
Sorry, you're saying it... Okay.
I know. I know. If this was a transatlantic or a cross-country flight, might be worth the scam. But not... Okay. But the flight ended up turning around and going back to Pensacola after the woman said she was having trouble breathing. The aircraft was evacuated after the woman admitted she lied about a medical issue, but then refused to get off the plane. So the police...
Sorry, to just dig a deeper hole. Just dig right in.
Yeah, the captain and the police finally talked her into leaving the plane. She was detained under the Baker Act, which allows authorities to hold a person with a mental health issue. And so that's her situation over there right now. But here's the deal, and I'm actually very much in favor of this. If you do something, unless blood sugar or it's a real medical issue, that you cause a plane to have to turn around, I think you should be charged for it. I think you should be charged for everything based on your dumbass actions.
Yeah. Yeah, because, think about the folks that missed
Right.
connecting flights or an important event or anything
Right.
going through there.
Yeah.
What if there were unaccompanied minors on the flight?
Yeah.
Anything they could do with that extra stuff?
Yeah.
Or someone who's you should always travel with your medications, but someone I don't know, something happens.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing right now, since I'm being old, with my hip, extra time in an airplane seat is not going to make me happy.
No.
No. I might actually, start, paying for booze on a flight if I have to deal with this sort of uncomfortable lower back issue.
I think, can I just say, speaking of booze on a flight, they could at least have something decent. If you have to pay for it, I'll pay for it, but just get something that's worth drinking. As far, like wine. They have terrible wine.
Oh, see, I'm sure they do. I can't imagine that, they have decent wine on a plane.
They should.
But I usually tend to go for a beer. It just, it's because I can't, I'm a weenie drinker.
Yeah.
So when they give you that little bottle, I don't have enough mix for it. I'm a big fat weenie drinker. Okay. So I just go for the booze. For the beer.
For the beer? That sounds good. So from time to time, we mention this gal named Nadia Bacote. She's an Australian, and she's a Sexpert, and she writes a column. And we go to her this week, not because she has any new thoughts or takes on anything, and we definitely don't have anything about Gwyneth Paltrow this week, which is really quite a shame. But she was talking about all the horrifying messages that she gets and emails and stuff like this. And,
folks that don't like the fact that she enjoys sex or speaks about it.
Or guys sending her emails about lengthy masturbation sessions to her picture. Which I guess you could call that a form of fan mail.
But nobody asked for that.
No.
It's going through there.
No. And she says, and I had this when I was on air. I mean,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I've been fairly public about the fact that I own, fantasy gifts. So, family owns it, but I haven't, I haven't really gotten that much, weirdness.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But Bacote says, like most of the women in media I know, I can't remember the last time I opened my email not to be confronted with threats of violence, graphic depictions of sex acts, occasionally accompanied by a description, and all of that. And she said, then there are the people that call her stupid, fat, and all of that other kind of stuff. And she says, if my image is featured in an article, I receive messages critiquing everything from my body weight to my haircut. And if I express an opinion, I'm called a dumb bitch. And she goes, by the way, I have 3 university degrees and blah, blah, blah. And she just says, you know what? Don't look at it. Just don't look at it. Just delete.
Yeah. I've always been sort of, I don't think I have looked at comments on anything in probably year and a half. I just, I will occasionally comment on something, usually in a positive manner, like, oh, that's really exciting or good for you. Even if it's someone I don't know, if I just see something that I think is cute or nice or if I'm going to comment, it's going to be positive, and I don't even bother with looking at the comments on things. Well, because even before this, I used to, I have how many how many comments to someone is misogynist? How many comments to...
Yeah.
And when it got to be less than 3, that's when I stopped looking at comments.
Yeah. No, it's too bad. It's really too bad. But I really think that there's a lot of timelessness and wisdom to the whole, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Hello?
Yeah. It is, yeah. I do wonder. Honestly, this whole messaging comment thing is, less than 2 decades old, really, if you think about it. At one point, do we collectively figure out, when does it, when were we going to figure out not to do this shit? Because things change,
Yeah.
What's the next medium? How, folks are going to figure it out. It's very weird.
No, it totally is. And quite honestly, I like it that they've made it, and it's not hard, but they've made it, they've made you jump through a hoop or two at least to write a review. I got flowers. This is kind of funny. I got flowers from my friend, and his wife owns a flower shop. And I was absolutely amazed that they a week and a half later, they still looked like amazing. Now, if I'm looking at thinking of ordering flowers from someplace, that is something I would like to know, how well they lasted, right?
Yeah, that they've got good suppliers, they order correctly. It works out really well, because sometimes someone, well, this has been around for a while, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But because he gifted me those flowers, I had no pathway to be able to review it. And you know what? I was like a little bit bummed, but then on the other hand, I was happy because that keeps people.
that just means people can't go in and troll. They can't,
Right.
get, because, somehow, and I think, this happens, and we've talked about this before, is that there's some mentality out there that everything's supposed to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
That no one's allowed to screw up. And that all screw ups have like the same equality of graveness. It's just very, very strange.
Yeah.
And certain things. And I think that's, and when I get that, because with a business that sells sex toys, for example, I get a summons on a sidewalk before the bowling alley does. I get.
Oh, you mean like for shoveling?
For shoveling
or something?
and stuff like that. It's just really strange. So I'm like, we're going to get to it. When have I not cleaned it? It's just very, very strange. But it's very weird. It's very strange. It's the same thing. So, even when I try and be better than everybody else, it's still not equal. Because people are going for this perfection, or how can they poke at you? How can they annoy you?
Well, this plays right into the next one.
Oh, okay.
So,
oh God, it's like we planned this.
I know.
I have no idea.
And
I've been too busy to pop into what we might be talking about.
Well, that's okay. So here's the thing. You just said something that was a perfect setup for this. You said, the ability to comment and all of this online stuff is really only about 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Text communication is also, by standard new. And there's an article here, and I just threw it in here because I thought this was kind of funny. This guy named Nick Douglas, he was writing about the responses as okay and yes as responses in a text. And he's like, you need to use an exclamation point to sound positive. Otherwise, he says, you might sound passive, aggressive, dismissive, or angry.
Yeah. The amount of exclamation points I find myself using when I text or email versus just, to get the speech across.
Yeah? You think that you agree with him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just because you look at something and you see just like, okay, you're thinking, I read just okay. Depending on what I'm doing, I'm going back and forth to my daughter. She knows, but but depending on what's going on, if you don't know someone, there's a text just missing a lot of information, and I think that's has a hard with people who can. Half the stuff like in Dear Abby and all that now is about communications, and I always mention text, and I don't know what it meant. And someone's like, you could call it ask.
Yeah. Yeah. God forbid.
God forbid you actually speak with someone. Now, mind you, this technology is excellent for people who have speech issues or high anxiety. All of this technology is excellent for some people, but for a lot of us, it's just not necessary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't talk about emojis, but he does say don't go too far with exclamation points because then you could cross over into sarcasm. So
none is bad, and like 5 or 6 is too many.
Yeah. And
well, maybe you should say like yay, like a little bit of yay, like 2 exclamation points, yay, I got a parking spot, or 5 exclamations, yay, the cake was delivered on time. I don't know.
Well, he says if you're in a group text and everybody but you uses exclamation points, everybody else thinks you hate them. I thought that was funny.
It might be for folks that are younger, but just quick emails, text. I am giving you information. If I have to, if there's going to be any if there's any subtlety, I have to pick up the phone because there's just.
I still have the crud, by the way.
Oh no.
Okay, Washington Post food reviewer Tom Seitzma inadvertently found himself in the middle of a scandal. He had done a review, and there was a picture. And in the ambience of the restaurant where this was taken, there was a couple. And the picture was published in the Washington Post, and a woman commented on the story on the online version and said, well, Tom, your latest review is accompanied by a picture of my husband dining with a woman who isn't me. And I'm
surprised. I mean, you don't even see a lot of background people, unless you're talking about like a big gathering. But I don't see people using. Okay.
Yeah. So she also said, once confronted with the photographic evidence, he confessed to an ongoing affair. Just thought you'd be amused to hear of your part in the drama. This Thanksgiving, I'm grateful to you for exposing a cheat.
There's an email that he was not expecting.
Yeah, and he was trying to. He said, he wrote back and he says, please tell me this is a crank post. I'd hate to learn otherwise. And so they're wondering if maybe that, but still, oh my God, that's the hilarious thing. Like, I honestly think the truth is in fact a force of nature, and it's like if you watch crime shows, whatever. You get caught. It comes out one way or another. And so this doesn't surprise me at all, because it's like a karma thing, Makes me laugh. Florida man. He came to see you. He got arrested because he was trying to throw something away when he was pulled over by police in Fort Pierce, Florida last month. He failed to adequately stop at a sign. And they said, hey, what are you doing? And they found a crack pipe, and this baggie had coke in it. And they said, well, gee, actually crack cocaine. What is this? And he goes, the wind just blew it into my car. Crack pipe, not so much. But so he's arrested.
You know what? I mean, okay, it's not that I, use crack pipes or whatever, but I was at an establishment a while back, and I wandered through it, and I realized that they had an enormous amount of pipes, or as they're called now, tobacco or water tobacco pipes. You know what? They're pretty.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, the folks that hand blow these suckers, they got some skills.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going through there. I mean, when I was younger and we did, I was like, we never had that. There was a toilet paper roll and some tin foil. Someone carved a thing out of an apple once, or just, a little pinch hitter. Never played with the really nice, glass pipes. Mm-hmm. Smoke a little pot. Maybe they're for other things other than pot, but I think some, and then all the decorative bongs and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're great.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty.
Did you or did you not say that you've watched the new incarnation of Queer Eye?
I got about 5 or 6 minutes into one, and I just went, I'm not into it. And I understand that they've expanded their definitions, not just a straight guy. They're doing a lot of different things. They're based out of Atlanta this time, so they're not right. So they're in a whole different area. Mm-hmm. But I just couldn't get into it. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cast. And
I got a little bored with the old one after a while, so.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, it gets, but they do have better stories because they're more diverse. There's different, you're looking at a lot of different situations. But get this, for the first time in 35 years, there is a non-female appearing on the cover of Cosmopolitan, and that would be Queer Eye's grooming expert, Jonathan Van Ness, and he's wearing a peach tulle gown with striped tube socks and Nikes. And
Nike must love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the headline said, "Yep, we did it. You're totally welcome." Mm-hmm. So
who was okay? So that begs like, who was the
last one?
The last one,
Boy George, back in 1984.
Did he pass away?
No.
Who was the one that passed? Someone.
Oh, you mean Rick Ocasek?
No.
If Boy George died, I didn't hear it.
No, not but but the lead singer from George Michael from Wham, did he pass away?
Oh, years ago.
Okay, so because they became popular at the same time.
Yeah.
And for some bizarre reason, I conflate the two all the time, and I knew one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you play Whamageddon? The Last Christmas song? You have to go as far into December without hearing that song?
Oh, no, but I should.
No. Friends of mine are playing it. And, I'm listening to Christmas music on Sirius radio here,
So you're
so
not
I
gonna
hear it
win.
all. I'm not, I'm not even going to bother trying to play this. But a friend of mine was out today when she heard it at Cub. She thought maybe she would be, safe, but because if you hear like other people singing Last Christmas, it's fine.
But it can't be Wham.
But it can't be Wham. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got it.
Sorry.
Well, Boy George was the last one. And by the way, I would like to add that Culture Club was the headliner a year ago at not this past state fair, but the year before. And I went to see them with the B-52s. Mm-hmm. And I had, in all the years, never seen Culture Club live. They were fantastic. And quite frankly, completely underrated in my view. After seeing them this many years forward, it was all the originals. They sounded amazing. Amazing.
No, if you're still touring that many years later, either one, everyone's got to pay bills. But two, there's probably other ways of going around making money, teaching, doing different things, or writing songs, or producing, most of your. But if you're still hauling your ass around to stages, you got to love performing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just going through.
Oh, he was amazing. He came out, and he kind of came out on the stage, and he kind of peeked around, and he says, "Oh, everybody's always, what's he going to be wearing? What's he doing?" And he goes, "Of course." He goes, "What do you think? I'm Boy fucking George." And I was like, woo! I mean, it was so fun. Just quickly wrapping up on the Cosmo cover story.
Okay.
Jonathan Van Ness, I would just like to say, he identifies as non-binary, but he does use male pronouns. And he says, I'm trying to encourage people to love, who they are. And so he also lives with HIV, and he's trying to kind of be an advocate and improve the social safety net for people living with that, and make critical thinking cool. So he's just out there trying to spread the love. And
yeah, I mean, because I know that Vogue has really, in the past few years, especially Teen Vogue, has really turned into quite the high-end journalism. You're not seeing some of this stuff in other places. Teen Vogue has been spectacular.
Really?
Articles on the environment, articles on sex, that means something, not just how to give the best blowjob. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Teen Vogue, I was been absolutely fascinated by some of the stuff in Vogue recently.
That's awesome.
Now, if they could just stop shoving perfume inserts in it, maybe I would actually get one.
God, that is so brutal. Do you know anybody, for real, in your social or family life that wears perfume anymore? I don't.
My daughter, she might have, but there was a point there in high school when it was sort of a gifty thing, but I don't think recently. But honestly, no one my age or a little bit older, a little younger.
It's so overwhelming. I mean, I don't know literally anybody that does, and it's like, how do they still spend so much money on advertising and take up so much real estate in department stores? Somebody's buying it, but I don't know who.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
I don't either.
No idea.
No idea.
I mean, they also know. I mean, then again, if folks do have it, they all know that my nose is insane. So generally, it's not get worn around me anyway.
Yeah. Oh God, I can never pass up a dog with a dildo story. Can't.
Oh, we got in a whole pallet of dildos.
Oh, you did?
The other day, yeah.
You didn't throw any of them for a dog?
No, I didn't throw any from a dog. I didn't try and talk into any of them.
Okay.
I was going through there.
Which you've done.
I did a little blog on a whole bunch of new stuff we got in from Blush.
Cool.
Because over the Thanksgiving weekend, I had gone to all the stores taking pictures, and I Instagrammed like crazy, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Yelp, all that, right? Yeah. But there were some pictures I can't show. Like dildos. So I did a blog and linked some stuff, and we got some really fun ones in.
Cool.
It's just fun. And besides, dildo is such a spectacular word.
It's a good word. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yep. Mm-hmm. So this one hails from New Jersey. Lisa Cross was walking her Staffordshire Bull Mastiff named Honey.
Not a tiny dog.
No.
Nope, not at all.
And they were
do they drool a bit?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the Tom Hanks one. Was that a Mastiff? Remember?
Oh, yeah. You're thinking of
something.
No, that was some kind of an exotic breed of dog.
Oh, okay. But yeah. But it was the dog was the co-star of the thing.
Yeah. Any dog with bull in its name is gonna drool.
Okay.
But they were just doing their daily walk, and the dog just vanished into the trees, and she reappeared with a big dildo hanging out of her mouth.
I probably smelled it.
Couldn't get the dog to drop it. Took her an hour to get her to, to put it down. And she finally had to get it. But they, when she realized that she finally wasn't going to get it, to keep it, she buried it for safekeeping, which is probably a very, very, very good place for it. And she posted photographs and all of that good stuff. We'll put this story up on Great Northern Sexcast Facebook page.
We found one of the staff members here lives in an apartment building in uptown area of Minneapolis, and the back lot of the apartment parking lot is sort of up against 94, and a lot of construction, a lot of stuff going on over there, whatever. And she glanced over, and this is before it snowed. She glanced over, and she realized what she was looking at was a masturbator, like the vagina butt ones that are like really expensive. And someone had discarded it over the fence. And she watched, someone eventually got it weeks later, picked it up or did something later, but she just kept giggling because she's trying to
that's an expensive item.
Yeah, I mean, this is not cheap, these things.
No. What price range would you suppose?
Oh, well, I mean, the really small little pocket ones, are only about $19.95, little tube type ones. But these full loaf ones can go for $150. And then, okay. I mean, so this is chucked over the fence. It's just
that's amazing.
And she's like, yeah, and of course, shit, God, it's not like my work's following me home.
That's hilarious. This British sex worker named Lily, she works at Sheffield's City Sauna, and she's interviewed and tells a couple stories about it. She says, I pretty much do every service from A to Z. She's happy to take a flogger and go to work on you, trample, ball bust, whatever. But she says, I get a lot of requests for slippery, slidey massage. That's fun. But she says the one thing that the funniest thing she ever did, and it's been more than one person, that they want her to pop balloons, either between her legs or with her butt. Pop balloons. It's a fetish, I guess.
I've seen that. I mean, just there was a movie in that, in the 80s or something that did it. And I'm like, they just make this shit up. So, and they could, because there was also a movie with John Ritter. I can't think of it, years ago, and in which there was a glow in the dark condom scene. I think I've talked about this before, but the scene is just two guys. They both have glow in the dark condoms on. They're running around. I'm blanking on the name of it.
See it.
You can see it, right? But at the time, glow in the dark condoms, especially with any sort of color to them other than the green, did not exist.
Right.
Oh my God. Every single time that movie would come on cable, people would ask for them. And then finally, about 10, 15 years after the movie came out, someone finally figured out how to make a glow-in-the-dark condom. Oh, we got glow-in-the-dark dildos in. They're glittery and they glow in the dark. They're really cool.
Fun.
But it's just funny. But they don't really play that movie all that much anymore. I can't think of the name of it. I don't know. It was a John Ritter title. I know that.
Okay.
If you look at
I remember that scene.
Since the man died 20 years ago now, if you look him up, look it up on IMDb, you're going to find the movie.
Okay.
But that scene, constantly, do you have glow-in-the-dark condoms? Do you have we do, in fact, have glow-in-the-dark condoms now. Most of them are just the green is going through there. But the new dildos we got in, there's pink and blue. Did we get the green one? Orange? I don't know. But they're glittery and glowy, and they're really, really quite awesome.
Sweet. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Mm-hmm. This one, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was kind of surprised, but then not. So YouTube, a lot of trends, weird trends have popped up on YouTube and, all of this sort of thing. But now there's the Sex Doll channel. And one of them is called basically Doll Unboxing. And it features a person explaining the best way to unbox a sex doll to avoid back injury. And literally, you watch this whole thing. So he explains.
Why not? I mean, I am flummoxed by the concept of the unboxing video, whether it's makeup or clothing or sex. I cannot. My brain just, there's boinging things going on. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I was going through there.
Okay, the first thing you do when you unbox a sex doll, just FYI.
Okay.
Lift the legs first. That's standard procedure. Then you have to stand up on the bed where the box is, put the elbows to your knees to support your back, and roll the doll out of the box. They appear to be heavy, and they're usually sent without their heads attached.
Well, we've got like a $3,000 doll. It's all one piece. It's only about, I'd say it's about 4'10", 5 feet tall. We're just going through there because I'm a little bit taller than it. This is in a box, and we sold it. Yeah, it was when we had them here, and we were dressing them because we put some lingerie on them because they came naked, and we didn't think that was appropriate. Yeah, it was not the. There were like three of us. We spread out a big sheet. We were all wearing gloves so that we wouldn't put smudges on, and everything like that. But it was not the easiest thing to maneuver.
Yeah.
So I would assume that these even these more expensive dolls would be difficult. Probably bend your knees, don't lift with your back. Standard heavy stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. This fellow that does that one shows off all the different wigs and all that. But there's another one called Sex Stuff AI Sex Doll Review, features sex educator Zoe Ligon, and she meets a male doll that can answer questions like what's your favorite food, etc. Then she tests out the doll on camera. Seems fairly impressed, although she said it was kind of weird. And yeah, some people were really grossed out. Other people were like, hey, that's good to know. So,
hey, you were not born knowing this stuff. Something you got to have, going through there. Had to, whether you're Googling how to lift a sex doll out of a box or the appropriate way to remove a background on PowerPoint, I'm sure that there's a YouTube video for almost everything.
There certainly is. I think we mentioned the show Fleabag a while back. Did you?
Oh, yeah. There's 2 seasons of it. I absolutely loved it because it's just the depiction of a woman who likes sex. Just like I'm horny. I want to have some sex. It's not considered risque. It's not considered out of the ordinary. It's completely and utterly normal.
Did you ever wonder why it's called Fleabag?
Oh, I read something a little bit about it. Was that her actual nickname? No.
Nope.
No.
I don't know why she chose that for the character, but that's all she's known as. Guess what? It's a sex trend. And fleabagging is the act of someone constantly dating a person who is wrong with them.
Wrong for them?
Wrong for them, yes. And if you notice, her boyfriend is.
Oh, yeah.
It's called fleabagging.
No, the first season of that show, yeah, and yeah, both seasons. But the first season, I thought the second season was a lot better.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only watched 3 episodes, but I laughed my ass off. It's pretty funny. And the actress is just hysterical. I've seen her in other things. And it's like, she's got quite a range, that one. Very funny. So there's a throuple, and they get interviewed about how they keep the jealousy down. It's group yoga. Okay. So Michael Taylor and his wife, Lauren, met in 2011. They married in 2016. And after 7 years, they decided they had more love to give, and they looked for someone to join their unit. Then they found another gal named Jess, who's been polyamorous most of her life. They plan to go to Thailand to get married because you can't marry 3 people in the U.S. They're thinking about having a family together, but basically they do yoga to make sure that they diffuse jealousy.
Well, it's supposed to be calming. And, really, and good for core muscles, so that's going to help for a lot of different things. Yeah. I've never taken a yoga class. I keep thinking I should.
I tried. So funny. I went to the studio when I was living in the North Loop, and the teacher, was just chronically late, and he ruined, that's when I was a freelancer. And if I didn't get my workout done at a certain time, then it usually,
just screwed with the rest of your
yeah. So I had a very bad experience from a bad yoga teacher, but I would like to try it again. Very clever girl. in Oregon, Ohio, called 911 to stop a domestic abuse situation. She called 911 because a man was beating her mother. And she said, not wanting to call attention, she said, I'd like to order a pizza. And he said, you're calling 911 to order a pizza? And she says, no, you're not understanding. And the 911 operator, a guy, says, okay, I'm getting you. And so he says, is the other guy still there? She goes, yep, I need a large pizza. He goes, okay, medical, you need medical? And she goes, no, with pepperoni. So she's trying to, whatever. So they sent officers, kept their sirens off, and they managed to get the suspect. And
I've heard that. I've heard of that before. It was like,
I haven't. I think that's genius.
That there was they said they were, can I order a pizza? And the person that was being, they didn't see what they were dialing, and just ordered a whole pizza. But of course, they were able to, trace the call and find. You have to give the address, the whole deal.
Yeah, No, that's genius. So I hope other people will keep that one under their hat in the event. I hope they never need to use it. Okay, I'm embarrassed. I know the name, but I couldn't point this person out in a lineup. Louis C.K.
Yeah, he's the comic who blew up his career by basically being masturbating in front of fellow female comics or people that were trying to get ahead. Yeah, lost his shows, did different, and he's made a couple attempts to come back, but he keeps stepping in it, from what I can tell.
Well, there's a story about him. He just played to a nearly packed basketball arena in Tel Aviv, Israel, and the audience was pretty, good. And he said he told the crowd straight out, of over 5,000. He said, "Yep, I've made transgressions, and even though I asked permission, it was a mistake. And if they say yes now, I still won't do it anymore because it's not popular."
Yeah.
Not popular. That's a very odd characterization. Wouldn't you say?
Just these folks didn't realize, the whole thing, it's just story after story. It just really, it's very, very awkward for the women that were his co-workers and other comics and stuff that were working with him that just did not feel as though they could say no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Japanese department store under fire. For a uniform accessory. They have a badge that basically translates into Miss Period. And so they tell the women to wear it, or they give them the option to wear it when they have their period. So with the idea of improving the working environment so that others are clued in that an employee has her period, and give her extra help or a longer break during her shift.
Japanese businesses seem to be way too concerned about their female employees. First of all, you're not allowed to wear glasses. Now you're supposed to share when you have your period. Mm-hmm. And I think and then I think there was another story about having to wear high heels.
Oh, high heels, no glasses. Yeah.
Honestly, we're going to start hearing about female employees just chucking their male bosses off of balconies, I bet. Oh my! And everyone's going to wonder why.
Yeah, yeah. So we conclude today with a Monica Lewinsky story. She, of course, for those of you who may be too young to remember this, was really nationally demonized for her relations with then President Bill Clinton when she was a White House intern. Mm-hmm. She now has a deal to make a documentary on public shaming. So she will produce and appear in this feature-length 15 Minutes of Shame documentary for HBO Max. And so...
By the way, she is hilarious on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah, follow her. Yes, she is a very funny woman. And she, the other day, I learned something from Monica Lewinsky.
What?
I have an iPhone, and on it there's a little clock icon app, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a picture of a clock. If you look at it, it's telling the time in the little second hand moves.
kidding.
Yeah. So she had posted on Twitter, I was this many days old when I realized that the clock was an actual functioning clock. And there was like 3,000 people underneath of her going, oh my God, you're right.
Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Mm-hmm. Well, son of a gun.
Yeah. Totally crap. But she is...
But she's funny. Does she ever indicate what she's doing now?
I'm not sure who's actually going through there. She's earlier or something. There was another tweet I saw of her that she's responding that someone had mentioned that the older I get, the better my life and the better the work is or something, whatever it is. And someone said I was like 35, and she goes, "Hey, 40" or something like that. And it's hard to. I'm like, how is it possible that Lewinsky is 40 plus?
Yeah. You know? That's scary. But the film's going to include people around the world who've been publicly shamed, and it will examine the role of bullies, the media, and others, and it'll include input from psychologists and other experts. And she's the HBO says Monica Lewinsky is an anti-bullying activist with unparalleled authority.
Oh, definitely.
So I wish her luck with that, because that poor girl, and I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, yeah, no.
I feel really bad for what happened to her.
She was, Well, actually, I mean, her, Anita Hill, the women that are testifying now, I mean, the way that they just brutalize women. The woman, I'm blanking on the woman who testified against Kavanaugh. They just absolutely...
Blasey Ford.
Yeah. And there's going to be textbooks, hopefully, in the future, just about the women who just finally, in this century, last century, said no fucking more.
Yep.
Just done.
Yep. We have. Well, very well. We're almost to Christmas.
Almost, yeah.
It's a week.
Oh, my God. I got to do some more shopping. Okay.
Bye, dildo.